We're going to be exploring what is a more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And considering we have Charles sitting here with us, I'd like to open this notion to him to share what that might mean, the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible to him, and open this conversation up that way. Charles?
Yeah, well, thank you, Mark, and greetings to everybody. It's been quite a couple weeks for me, as probably many of you, in this time of the interruption of normal. We have like the multiple timelines into the future become revealed that are otherwise obscured by the routines of the machine that we've lived in, which has its own inertia and requires us in many ways to conform to it. So our own routines get wrapped up in normality, and now that's been interrupted. And maybe not just interrupted, but I think that we're not actually going to go back to normal. The question is, do we try to go back to normal, or do we take this opportunity to intentionally move into the future? Because so much is possible now that would have been inconceivable just a couple months ago. What's possible is not all good. We have the possibility of a permanent society of separation where lack of contact, no more hugs, no more social gathering has become normalized. Military policing civilians, legalized permanent or legalized indefinite detention. I'm not sure how many of you have looked into the kind of conspiracy stuff, but they're tapping into a future as well, where the wish list of a totalitarian state is manifest. And we're also seeing at the same time, like, no airplanes buzzing over the sky. We're seeing solidarity rising up everywhere, like the water, underground water seeping up, the water of love, the water of interbeing seeping up through the ground and coming out all the cracks as people, some people are going to hoarding, other people are saying, how can I help? So one of the things that is coming up is economically. I mean, that's going to be maybe the biggest impact, because after all, the total number of deaths is still a very, very tiny fraction of the prevailing death rate. So, but it's the disruption of normal, including economic normal, that is going to have the biggest impact. And this leaves an opportunity, like all of a sudden, the misery and suffering of the working class and the lower classes is put in our face and brought closer to home as many, many more people are facing this insecurity. And so even in the Washington Post, something's come up about a debt jubilee. And I just read the Democrats' stimulus package, I think, involves like cancellation of $10,000 of student debt for everybody, moratorium on evictions and foreclosures. So this is pointing toward another normal too, a normal, like a new normal, a new future. Like, what if this becomes normalized? What if we no longer are hounding each other to make those payments and to keep the money machine as we know it working? Like, this is another, it's a signal that we don't have to do it this way. That our collective, so really what's happening here is that our unified will as humans in common cause is showing that enormous rapid change is in fact possible. That there are no technical barriers to anything that we want to accomplish as a collective. The barriers are only a product of human disagreement. And when we come into unity, tremendous change is possible. So I haven't actually answered your question, Mark, like to describe the more beautiful world. I can't actually describe it. Any description I do is less than what it is, but I see glimpses of it in, for example, the debt jubilee. It's a world where we're no longer enslaving people to their past, because really that's what debt is. You borrowed this money 15 years ago, and now I'm going to make you pay it back. I have power over you, and the power to collect debt is always enforced by the power that comes from the barrel of a gun. David Graeber said something like that. Behind the man with the ledger is the man with the gun. So part of the more beautiful world my heart knows is possible is this atmosphere of generosity and forgiveness and letting go. And I'm not going to hold it over you anymore. And it corresponds internally to like what grudges or what resentments or what leverage, what power have I held over somebody else? And who will I become as I let go of that? And what will society become as we let go of the institutions of domination? And there's a long, long way to go. One of the institutions of domination is, in fact, the medical system that is responding to COVID in the way that it is, rather than looking at the ground conditions for viral contagion and how do we boost immunity and why are we so susceptible. Almost everyone who's died, not everyone, but almost everyone who's died from this disease had serious pre-existing pathologies. So we might want to begin to ask, why are there so many in society with serious pre-existing pathologies? It opens up, so we have a choice, either we can hold tighter to the story of the world that we're in, or we can begin an inquiry, let in the data points that don't fit. And yeah, it's like it's like my impression is that we've been walking on this path and there's this crossroads ahead. We see that there's like a significant crossroads ahead. We've seen it for many years. We've seen it for decades. And we keep thinking we're almost there, but it turns out actually that was a mirage. It's actually over the next hill. It's over the next hill. And then all of a sudden we turn a corner and here it is. All of a sudden, which way do we go? And maybe the first response is to just freeze in place, bewildered and hardly daring to believe that we have reached this crossroads. So I guess our job, our meaning maybe just even the people gathered right here, right now, the people creating the More Beautiful World 24, but also the bigger our job is to identify which of the many paths that converge on the present moment is the one that we want to walk, and what is the first step on that path. Yeah, that's what I have to say for now.
Thank you, Charles. I imagine